are now in the Trujillo tasting room in St. Helena. I've been looking forward to getting here with General Manager Andrea and, of course, with Michael himself. And what are we going to be tasting here?
We're going to taste you through our current release, which is our 15 Cabernet.
Yeah.
And we're about to release the 16. So we're going to show you the two main Trujillo blends.
Right.
And what I like about my wines is it has vintage diversity, so we're going to kind of taste that. That's why I have two glasses.
Right.
And then we'll jump over and taste the reserves, and the reserves are the big boys.
That sounds great.
It'll be fun.
By the way, when is the tasting room open?
So we're open Monday through Saturday, 11 to 4. Usually we do like to encourage appointments, but we're always going to be trying to accommodate anyone who comes in.
Exactly.
So, more the merrier.
That sounds good. Well, don't bring in any more right now because I don't want to share these wines. So this is the 15 we're starting with, right?
Yeah, the 15 is what we currently have in the market. So in the U.S., we're distributed in a couple fixed markets in the U.S., but we're going to taste this with you here in our tasting room because the visitors, if they came in right now, this is what we'd be showing them.
Right,
the 15.
right.
So my wine is, it comes from 3 distinct vineyards. Rutherford, have a vineyard there called Gary Morzoli. And then I have a vineyard up on Hell Mountain that's called the Henry Brothers Ranch. And then I have a vineyard that's not too far here from the tasting room, up in the northeastern section of St. Helena called Healy.
And grapes from all 3 of those vineyards go into this wine?
That's exactly right.
Wow.
And in Hell Mountain, I have the other Bordeaux varietals growing,
Yes.
Merlot, Franc, Petit Verdot, and Malbec.
Right.
So mainly Cabernet Sauvignon.
Right.
So.
Okay. The nose on this is so inviting. I almost smell violets in this.
Perfect. That's if you talk about my wines, I always express them as varietally expressive, and violet is right on the mark.
I nailed it.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay, that's it. Show's over.
Yeah. Now 15 is just quickly about 15. It's coming off that big California drought. The vines are pretty. They've been working hard for the last few years. When we go to taste the 16, and I'll go ahead and start pouring that.
Yeah, sure.
Is you're going to see just this revitalization of the vines. This 16 wine is just showing. It's just amazing to taste them side by side. Both wonderful, both same composition.
Right.
But I want you to compare them as we taste here side by
Okay,
side. And that's
that's
what
it.
Andrew will be doing when the customers come in. We have a lot of different wines.
Exactly. You have a wine club here, Andrea?
We do. So
Yeah.
we have, it's called our Trujillo Elite, and essentially what it is it allows our club members to have allocations where essentially they're going to be granted a minimum amount of bottles per year. So the
Right,
one thing that's great, they can essentially choose between any of the wines that we have as long as they fill that kind of bottle amount that they signed up for. So. And get some price benefiting, which everyone loves.
Of course,
Gets you
right.
complimentary tastings. So then a few parties that we like to invite them and have them come. So definitely a perk. So we do encourage everyone to jump on board.
That's great. I can taste the difference between these
Isn't
two
it
wines. I mean,
amazing?
they're both terrific, but they have different characters.
You-
That's really amazing. Now, they'll both age pretty well, right?
My wines have a track record of 10 to 15 years easy. And that's what I attribute to impeccable balance. If you
Right.
taste my wines, the acidity's there. They're not overly what I call fat.
Right.
They're very well structured, very well balanced.
But even though they have this ageability, they're drinking really well now, especially the 15 is
Yes.
drinking really well. Now, the 16, everyone has a different opinion, I guess, but the 16 for me seems to be sturdier. But maybe that's because it hasn't opened up enough.
I think you're right. I mean, it's definitely a year younger, and it is structured with a little bit more stuffing, meaning tannin, a little more tannin. But it's also, to me, I find it a little bit more fruit expressive.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with that. So, oh my gosh, what would you eat with the 15?
well, I start my morning off with Cheerios in the morning. And then,
There you go.
the old adage of red meat and Cabernet, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
But you know what? Don't be afraid of root vegetables, ratatouille, tomato sauces. I mean,
Yeah.
as you see, these wines are delicate in balance. They're not monstrous where they do need that big ribeye. They're
Right.
more a finesse, more sexy style wine. So they're very diverse with food.
I drink Cabernet and Bordeaux style blends with grilled salmon.
Yeah.
And it's fun
Absolutely.
because it's kind of a meaty fish. I might not have it with petrale sole, but
We actually had that the other night.
Did you
Diane
really?
and I had cooked up some salmon and a few root vegetables, and it goes perfectly.
fantastic. I love the labels on your bottles, by the way.
Thank you.
This-
They tell a whole story.
Do we have time for a quick story?
I can do a quick story
Okay.
on you, yes. So I've been making wine for 35 years here in Napa Valley. And I've had association with many, Sequoia Grove is where I cut most of my time and worked with great winemakers like Andre Chilcha. When it came to doing the Trujillo label, I wanted the entire 35 years put on the label. And so I'm Spanish by heritage.
Yeah.
So my heritage goes all the way back to the 1550s when the Spaniards came and settled what was now Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Right.
So I wanted a very Spanish look to the label. I wanted to sort of create a crest that
Yep.
told my story. So if you look at the crest, it shows a ram, which I associate to Colorado. That's where I grew up. The bear, which is California, where I grew here.
Right.
Kind of bundled it all into a crest-looking thing. And then I have one of my favorite pastimes is building out of wood. Many things you see in here I've built. I have a shop, so on and so forth. So I put a very wood grain to the label.
Ah, yeah. Right. I can see that.
When I came into the wine business, my late wife, Karen, she was part of me getting started, but unfortunately I lost her at a very early age. And to her tribute, I put a little flower medallion here. It's Colorado Columbine.
Columbine.
And that was kind of her favorite flower. So that's just a little tribute to Karen. The really cool, fun part is these little notches. Everybody, what are those for?
Well,
do
yeah, what
those
are they?
represent? Well, each one of those represents 1 decade of winemaking.
Ah.
So 30 years so far, as I said, 36 years. There'll be a 4th one eventually.
Yeah.
If my daughter Sophia picks up the business, we'll come in from the other side. Or up the side.
No, just on the other side.
So
I love it.
lots of great compliments on the label, and tribute to Madeline Corson, who is our designer out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Speaking of compliments, Andrea, when people come into the tasting room, which way do their tastes seem to lean? I mean, are they mainly red wine drinkers? Do they love the Cabernets?
So the one thing that's been great, everyone has heard of Michael, or a lot of people have.
Yeah.
He's known for his Cabernets. So
Yeah.
we do get a lot of cab fans. I hate using the word cab house, but essentially that's what people come in thinking that, we're all about Cabernet. We get to surprise them with some of our other wines that we do have, but definitely a lot of your collectors. A lot of your collectors are people who like to lay down wines. They have cellars, but we do have other wines that, you can drink now. You don't necessarily have to wait 5 to 10 years to consume, and even these right now, as you can see, we're quite enjoying them as they are without having to lay down too long. So,
And other than buying wines here at the tasting room, where are your wines available?
absolutely online. So you can get it, online. We do distribute a little bit, but not much. We have very limited production, so it is going to be hard to find a lot of our high-end restaurants, your steakhouses. You can find some of, and it's actually going to only be our Cabernet, so our main label that you might find out there. But again, really small production, so the best bet would be to get it directly from us.
Right.
So.
Now, do you have a favorite vintage? Either of you? Maybe like the most recent thing released, right?
I think Mother Nature gives us what I call a classic vintage in every single decade.
Yeah.
And that's what's really fun about this business. I think every decade has presented a classic. 85 in the 80s, 91 in the 90s, 99 was pretty darn good too.
It was.
In the 2000s, 7 and 8 were pretty good. 2003 was a total sleeper vintage. That turned out to be awesome.
Yeah.
And so now in this sort of century, it's 15s are amazing, 16s are amazing. It's yet to be told which is going to be classic. Right now, I'm kind of putting my bet on 16, but we'll
16
see.
is quite yummy.
It is very yummy. In fact, it's only been in the glass, 10 minutes now? And already it's expressing itself even more voluptuously. Does that make sense?
That's a good way to put it. Very friendly upon release, but gracefully aged for a good 15 years. You can go back and taste some of the wines that I've made, both at Sequoia Grove and Carl Lawrence, some of the labels that I've been associated with as the winemaker, and those wines are just drinking like a song today.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
That's great. Well, they're singing to me right now.
I love it.
We're going to, thank you for your time here at the tasting room, by the way. I highly recommend the Trujillo Wines tasting room here in St. Helena. We're going to, a little bit later, have this with some food, right?
Yes. We're going to pair this up with some great dishes.
Well, thanks for joining us in the tasting room. Cheers.
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 Cheers. Good job. Good to be.